I bet you can't even catch your breath at the moment. What a manic 24 hours in the world of Norwich City. This is turning into a generational head coach search. This far goes beyond the European-wide search to land on Neil Adams as an interim head coach. Welcome back, everyone. It's Jack Reeve, Talk Norwich City. Yesterday's video, recorded less than 24 hours ago, we were saying that we are very close to a new head coach. And that still remains true, but the names in question, well, that's absolute nonsensical information. Apologies for that. Jon Dahl Tomasson and Gary O'Neill were the two names that looked very likely it was either going to be one of those, probably Jon Dahl Tomasson. In a late twist yesterday afternoon, he is now out of the running. Pinken's reporting was Jon Dahl Tomasson won't be the next Norwich City head coach after the club have decided to offer it to another candidate. The former Sweden and Blackburn Rovers boss was under consideration for the role after extensive talks with the Canaries hierarchy, but City are understood to have offered the job to another candidate. Tomasson made it to the latter stages of the process, but Norwich have now decided on their preferred option. Interesting wording there. With talks continuing to get a deal over the line, they are believed to be at an advanced stage as the Canaries bid to confirm an appointment before Saturday's game against Birmingham. Preferred appointment is interesting wording in there. Now, Gary O'Neill, I'm pretty sure, was offered the job. I'm pretty sure that Jon Dahl Tomasson was offered the job. Now, who is the third name in question? Well, that looks to be Phillipe Clement, like the pronunciation. Of course, the former Rangers manager. He's managed Monaco, Club Brugge, Genk, a pretty prestigious list of clubs that he has been managing before. Could relegation threaten Norwich City be the next on that list? This has been a remarkable 24 hours. There have been so many names in the list, and it feels like we have finally landed on Phillipe Clement. Now, that could well change by the time this video is even out, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does. But for me, what's been very interesting during this whole process is, yes, we had the Russell Martin, Will Stills, Gary O'Neill's, Jon Dahl Tomasson's. I think with Still, O'Neill and Tomasson, there were definitely discussions between the club and those individuals. I don't think Russell Martin was ever really in the fold. But it looks very likely now, and it looks almost certain now, that none of those names will be the next head coach. And actually, it's going to be a name that hasn't really been talked about too much. Now, Phillipe Clement came to the light last night after a few journalists were whispering between each other, and I think that's now surfaced on social media. I think Rob Butler put something out very early on Tuesday morning. So that name is out there now. It's not concrete, certainly at time of recording. It is advanced, I believe, but it's certainly not concrete. What's interesting here is it feels as if Norwich are in a position now where it's almost difficult to attract the names that they want. Now, it'll be interesting to see what kind of contracts they put the new head coach on, whether it's a 12-month rolling deal. It's going to have to be a pretty sizable package to find anyone of note to come in to a team that's currently in the relegation zone. You don't want a championship relegation on your CV. Phillipe Clement, league titles to his name, has managed teams in Europe. Lots of good accolades, Belgian Super Cups, Belgian Pro Leagues, Belgian First Divisions, Scottish League Cups. Pretty decent win record at Rangers. But what I'm saying here is, if you're Gary O'Neill, if you're Jon Dahl Tomasson, are you wanting to take this challenge on? I don't believe, and maybe we'll hear otherwise from Ben Napper later this week, I don't believe that Phillipe Clement was actually the first choice, the preferred candidate. Because why would you faff around with Gary O'Neill and Jon Dahl Tomasson and have discussions with Will Still? And look, I get that you have to, speak to a lot of people and keep your options open. But really, is Clement really the first choice? And look, he's actually somewhat of a coup if we manage to kind of go out and get him in. He's a name. He's managed in very good divisions before and won league titles. I think he plays a 4-2-3-1. He kind of sets up in a way that Norwich City are probably suited to at the moment. But this last 24 hours, I can't remember anything like it. It feels very pre-Fabrizio Romano days, almost like back in the day when you were kind of refreshing teletext to see if Nigel Worthington had been sacked yet. You just don't know where things are turning next. Norwich have obviously kept a very tight process on this. They would have run some of these names through their data systems back in the summer when they were searching for Liam Manning. At that point, they said that Liam Manning was first, second and third choice, so Phillipe Clement must have been about seventh choice in the summer. He looks like the man who could well be taking over Norwich City, and this is a monumental task at hand. It can't be underestimated. You've got a team highly unmotivated at the moment, 4 points adrift, going into a week having had at most 2 days on the training pitch, where you've got Birmingham, Oxford and QPR. 2 of those games at home, 2 of those games you really have to be winning. So no pressure on the head coach coming in. It's look, it's been fascinating, and we obviously know that the Atanasios have been far more involved in this process than they probably were in the Liam Manning hire. I'm not saying that they weren't involved at all in the Liam Manning hire, but I think throughout every discussion they will have had a touch point here, and ultimately they will make the final call. It will come on the recommendation of Ben Napper, and I can't imagine they would sway from his thinking at the moment. But do we trust Ben Napper at this stage? Do we trust Ben Napper to get this managerial appointment right? He's already sacked 3 head coaches in as many years, in David Wagner, Hannes Torp and Liam Manning. Whoever the next one is must be thinking, my goodness me, am I going to be the 4th? Do we trust Ben Napper to get the 3rd managerial appointment that he has made correct? Do we trust Ben Napper to go into another transfer window and spend big? Because so far, maybe barring Chris Garden and Jovan Makama and maybe a couple of others, it's been a pretty underwhelming time. So you've got so many moving elements here. And I think if you're a head coach being approached by Norwich City, are you wanting that kind of chaos above you at board level? Because you probably have heard the rumours, you've read the press, you probably know that Ben Napper might not be here beyond the summer, you probably know that Zoe Webber has career ambitions bigger than Norwich City and probably won't be sticking around for too much longer. You know about the new ownership. But equally, you've got a pretty decent squad on paper, an ownership group that will back you, a huge fan base and brilliant facilities for this level. So there's a lot to weigh up here. Ben Napper, Neil Adams, I think Lee Dunn has been involved in some of the interviews as well. Obviously the Atanasios. I suspect we will hear confirmation today, being Tuesday, or Wednesday. I can't see this going in to Thursday and Friday. Look, it may well do, because I thought we'd have an appointment at least by now. And I thought it would be one of Gary O'Neill or Jon Dahl Tomasson. So I'm having to move quick with these, because by the time that this is out, this may well be out of date. Phillipe Clement, look, there's risks with all of these managers that we've spoken about. I don't think we've found the perfect candidate as of yet. With Clement, good CV, managed in big divisions, good playing career, plays a 4-2-3-1. I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging. Is he the man to motivate these players and get them going for the second half of this season? Who knows? Time will tell. They will say that he's the preferred candidate. I'm not so sure, but he's probably been on the list for some time. So let me know your thoughts. Mad few days. And I think we may be nearing the conclusion now. Famous last word. It's going to end up Ryan Gary taking charge on Saturday. Ryan Gary next to Neil Adams. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.